What's going on YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my Godzilla comic book reviews. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about Godzilla Rivals, Mothra versus Titanosaurus. That's right, the fight that you've all been waiting for, Mothra versus Titanosaurus. So this is another pretty solid issue in the Godzilla Rivals series. I do have like one or two nitpicks for it, but I think for the most part, like the other issues of Godzilla Rivals, I think it is pretty solid. These are all generally one-shots. This is also the first one in the Godzilla Rivals series where Godzilla does not make an appearance. So I thought that was kind of neat because we had the Mechagodzilla, or the Ebra versus Rodan one, which had a really interesting, unique concept, and like I like the way the artwork was done in that one quite a bit, and the way the monsters fell from space and had to fight in this area, and they were getting ready to deploy Mechagodzilla at one point. And Godzilla, you have that really haunting, eerie shot of him, but he wasn't really the focal point of this one. This one's the first one where Godzilla's out of it. No Godzilla this time around, so it's just Mothra and Titanosaurus. So this one was written by Blue Delaquanti. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I apologize. And then artist by Farrowwind, design and letters by Nathan Wittick, editor David Marriott, supervising editor Tom Waltz, and editor Jasmine Joyner. So yes, IDW has been doing a really good job with the Godzilla IP. They kind of release these issues, I guess, every few months or so. I think this will probably be the last IDW comic from Godzilla until May. I know the next one's going to be Biollante versus, or I think it's Destroyer versus Biollante or something like that. I'll have to kind of take a look again. But so this will be the last Godzilla comic review for a few months, I suppose, until the next thing comes up. But this is, again, a pretty solid one. The art style this time around feels more reminiscent of an older, like, Japanese manga. And I kind of like that, and it's colored in quite well. I think it suits the style of this thing. The story this time around is a bunch of scientists are in California. A Mothra egg washes up on the shores near San Diego, and they're investigating it, and they have these devices which they can, because the kaiju itself like kind of communicate in sort of a psychic way, but they view all these different frequencies that the humans eye can't see or we can't hear. It's kind of like dogs, how they can hear certain sounds that we can't, and so they built this device to kind of see what the kaiju are seeing, like these various frequency patterns and that, or telepathic patterns, or whatever you want to call it, on planet Earth, and to see how, like, you know, what is it that they see and how they can communicate via their different patterns and stuff, so on and so forth. But as they open it up, they're able to, one of the scientists is able to view, oh wow, this is really beautiful, we can see what Mothra and that would see. And then they get another frequency, and then it kind of makes them go a little cuckoo, crazy, and that's where Titanosaurus comes in. So Titanosaurus senses the threat of the Mothra egg and goes on an unleashing hell of a rampage, and it's up to the scientists to get the Mothra egg out of there and kind of keep it away from shore. They have some hurdles in that, and then Mothra and Titanosaurus inevitably fight, and, you know, that's kind of where the story goes. But like I said, there's some really solid artwork in here. I especially love this shot right here of Titanosaurus. Look at him, he's a smiling, happy boy. And the good news is you get a lot of action with Titanosaurus rampaging across the city. And eventually, they do come into conflict with Titanosaurus and Mothra, because again, if Mothra's egg's there, Mothra has to be somewhere short by. And then inevitably, we do get the fight between Mothra and Titanosaurus. And it's kind of my only downside of this issue, because it takes a long time when you're reading the whole issue. I think this is like, with only like a little bit left in it, is when you get the fight. And there really isn't much offense. Like, Titanosaurus gets jumped by Mothra, does one tail whip, Mothra blasts him with her I guess eye beams, or like antenna beams, whatever you want to call it, which was showcased in the Heisei era. And then Titanosaurus and they have a stare down, and then just kind of wanders away as they bring Mothra's egg back to shore. For a comic book titled Mothra versus Titanosaurus, I wish there was a little bit more back and forth. The artwork itself is pretty good, and the setup is there. I just think if the issue was a little bit longer, it would have left a more satisfying conclusion to the story, because Titanosaurus still, even at the end of it, is still kind of lingering as we get some beautiful shots of Mothra and her larva and that, but it still kind of leaves you wanting a little bit more, because like I said, this is it. This is just like, it's like one attack back from Mothra, and that's it. At least with the previous ones, with the Godzilla versus, or the previous one, Rodan versus Ebra, that fight kind of happens earlier on, and they're fighting from space, and it's drifting down to Earth, and like they're still fighting continuously throughout the issue. This one, like I said, there's some great Titanosaurus action bits in there, and there's some beautiful looking artwork. It's just for a comic book title, Godzilla Rivals, Mothra versus Titanosaurus, I would have expected a little bit more back and forth. It kind of leaves you wanting more by the end of it. And again, the setup is there. I think if they had a few more pages, just a little bit more, like maybe another page or two, a little bit back and forth in terms of the action, I think this would have been a little bit more of a satisfying comic book. as it stands, I still enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the beautiful artwork and just kind of the setup and what they were going for with it. I just needed just a little bit more, because if you promise Mothra versus Titanosaurus, I expect more Mothra versus Titanosaurus than one back and forth moveset. I expect maybe a few more blows here and there, and it's not like this is part of an ongoing series. Well, yeah, it kind of is in a way, because this is part of the Godzilla Rivals thing. Unless they're doing a part 2 or something where they're teasing the fight and they're about to get into it, it's going to leave you a little bit disappointed in that regard. So yeah, a little bummed there wasn't a little bit more back and forth, but from what I got, I thought visually it looked great, and I think the concept and the story was interesting enough, and I do recommend this thing. I just wanted a little bit more, and I think with another page or two, I think it would have given me what I was asking for. Because like I said, you promised Mothra versus Titanosaurus, I expect more than Titanosaurus gets one hit in and that's it. So like I said, I mean, you get more action with him in it, but just needed like a little bit more back and forth offense for a little bit more of a satisfying conclusion. But like I said, as it stands, I thought this was a pretty solid issue, great looking artwork, and the story was interesting enough, and I think most Godzilla fans will be pleased, but maybe wanting a little bit more towards the end of it. So Godzilla Rivals has not fully let me down yet. Like I said, I still enjoyed this issue overall, just needed a little bit more. But that's it. Those are my quick thoughts on the issue in general. What do you think of it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit the bell for notifications. It's always fun to talk about Godzilla stuff. It gives me a little bit of break from covering some of the DC comic book stuff, and I just love talking Godzilla. I still need to talk about Godzilla vs. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers at some point. Maybe I'll get to that in the next couple weeks or something like that, because that's one series where I just I started it, but then I had issues uploading it or something like that, and then maybe it's just every time you talk Power Rangers, the copyright system just like leeches on. It's like, no, you cannot talk about this or something like that. That's just me. But with Godzilla, it seems to be generally pretty okay with the videos on my channel. But yes, so Godzilla vs. Rivals, I thought it delivered for the most part. Just need a little bit more action, and I think we'd have been good. So anyways, if you have any thoughts on it, post them in the comment section down below. All the other fun stuff. I'm going to get going. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, bell notifications, and check out this thing. I feel like IDW hardly ever advertises this thing. I never see any advertising. I even follow IDW on Twitter, and I just never see much advertising or letting everyone know, hey, guess what? A new Godzilla comic book is out. And I feel like I have to let people know, hey, look, a new Godzilla comic book is out. I wish there was just a little bit more advertising for the stuff, because Godzilla is a great IP. Even the official Godzilla Twitter accounts don't really seem to advertise new comic books that are coming out. I feel like that's something that they should be doing more often, because a lot of people are like, wait a minute, there's a new Godzilla thing coming out? They're like, yes. I had to kind of look up in my subscriptions and kind of check periodically, hey, when does the next Godzilla comic book come out? And finally I get to see it. So there you go. All right, well, that's all I got to say. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out. Check out Godzilla Rivals, Mothra vs. Titanosaurus, and let me know what you think. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.